This is for everyone, a memoir of Tim Berners Lee. Quote, 1988, I was struck by the idea of combining two pre-existing computer technologies into a single platform. The first technology was the internet. The second technology was hypertext, which was an ordinary document like a technical manual or a diary entry, and bring it to life by adding links. My idea was that these hypertext links could provide a simple way for users to navigate the internet. Hi and welcome to the Booklab. I'm Björn, and today we're going to take a quick look at a book that brought me back to my childhood. It's Tim Berners Lee's book, This is for Everyone. This is a new book that came out in 2025. Tim Berners Lee is the inventor of the World Wide Web. What does it mean to invent the web? Well, this guy is the man behind some of the most fundamental protocols and the groundwork for what we call the web today. He invented a hyperlink that lets you jump from page to page, from server to server as you browse your web in your browser. He is the man behind HTTP, which is the communication protocol that your computer uses. He invented HTML, which is the programming language for documents that are designed to be displayed in a web browser. And if that wasn't enough, he also came up with the standard for the URL. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator, and it's what allows you to type in a specific address to find a specific location on the internet. This is stuff that you use every day, but you rarely think about these underlying systems. And if you already feel bored to death about this topic and these kind of nerdy things, then you can turn this review off right away. But for me, who is very interested in this topic and want to know how the nuts and bolts of the web works, this is a quite fascinating journey. This is basically a book about the biology of the internet, and Tim Berners Lee, he is a very important person in this context. The progression of this book is linear from his childhood to his youth to adulthood and so on. The tech that Tim developed shook the world for real, but his private life seems to be quite stable in comparison. Don't expect any juicy love stories or family dramas from this book. You will be quite disappointed. My main takeaway from this book is just the dazzling pace of technological development. We actually went from mainframe computers that used as punch cards to general purpose AIs that passed the Turing test within one lifetime. It just gets me thinking, what will happen 40 years from now when I'm 80? Where will technology be? And I can't even imagine. As many memoirs, the book starts off really strong with super fascinating stories about the early internet. You get brought to a place and in a time where important things actually happened, and you get to see all the forks in the road where things could have gone differently but didn't. And you get to read about the confluence of different tech that gets brought together to become something that is more than the sum of its parts. But as we move from the early days where Tim was a pioneer into him becoming a part of the old guard, the book kind of fizzled out into something different. At the age of 70, the old master is not as innovative as he once was. A fair share of the book revolves around his new idea, something called Solid. It's a fine idea, but if you want the real cutting-edge ideas for solving current challenges and the problem of the web and web culture, you might want to look elsewhere. For instance, I don't agree fully with his ideas for how to solve the current problems of the internet, the polarization, the twisted incentives for users that just want to grab your attention. He suggests that we need more government incentives and more regulation, and I don't know if that's really the way forward, but I'm very happy that it tries to provide solutions. For instance, it doesn't sound like he have heard about Noster, for instance, that solves a lot of these twisted incentives where quality content is actually more rewarded than just the shock value of the content. It also has progress in terms of privacy, where you can move your data from different platforms. If the platform starts to behave in a bad way, you have full control over your profile, and you can also design your own algorithm, so to speak, so you can have control over what kind of content that on that social media platform that you are being fed. So if you don't know about Nostr, you should actually check it out. I post these videos actually on there as well. It's super interesting with decentralized social media. We're probably going to hear more about that in the future. It's a shame that the book fizzles out into something that is not that great, because I really loved the first part of the book. And since this is not a book that I fully recommend to everyone, but if you're really interested in the foundation of the internet and want to learn about these protocols, it's definitely a great read. It really brought me back to my childhood. I was there in the early days of the internet, at least when it became mainstream. So this was a lot of nostalgia from this as well. If you're interested in that, definitely pick it up. You can quit like after half the book. But I want to recommend 3 other books on adjacent topics, because I always want to leave you with something great to read. At least I found 2 books that I want to recommend. These are a bit unconventional writers, which I like. These are books that were born in the wake of the internet. These are people that saw the technology of the internet and connecting all the computers in the world, and they had some bold predictions of how it would spark a new era, the information age. And it's so fun to read books that are a bit older, predicting what life would be like today, because at least in the case of these 2, they are spot on. We are in the world that these books describe. The first one is Netocrats by Alexander Bard and Jan Söderqvist. You probably haven't heard of these. These are 2 Swedish philosophers that are experts in predicting the future and the digital age. They've been doing this for years, and this is the first book in a trilogy. It talks about how society is reorganized in the digital era. I have a full review of this book, and it's absolutely fascinating. I think this book blew my mind. It was on my top list the year I read it. It was a 5 out of 5 book. This is a hidden gem that more people should check out. So check out that review. You can just search for it. Netocrats. It's also called Netocracy. For some reason, it has 2 titles. The other one is The Sovereign Individual: Mastering the Transition to the Information Age by James Dale Davidson and Lord William Rees-Mogg. This book is kind of a wake-up call. This book is about how to survive in the new era financially, in the next phase of Western civilization. It argues that with current technology, people are more mobile than ever. It predicts the diminishing power of the nation state and the empowerment of the individual in the post-internet era. It's a fantastic read. I also have a full review of this one. So check that one out if you're interested in strategies for surviving the age of AI and technological disruption. That was it for this week. I have more of the reviews coming out. I'm going to review Knut Svanholm's book, Everything Divided by 21 Million, a Bitcoin book. So that's also about tech and the future. I finished a novel called The Mandibles. A great book, a dystopian vision of the US defaulting on their national debt. It sounds super depressing, but there's some good stuff in there. I'm gonna definitely talk a lot about it. So that's 2 books coming up. I also started Ryan Holiday's new book, Wisdom Takes Work. So that's something that I'm gonna end the year with. Let me know what you read in the comments, and see you next week with more book reviews. Björn out.